So today we're going to make a presentation about water pollution. We will introduce the definition, source of pollution, effects of pollution, compare the pollution situations between the USA and other countries. And last, we will discuss the potential resolution for water pollution. So I will introduce the definition first. So water pollution is the contamination of water bodies. Water pollution is any chemical, physical, or biological change in the quality of water that has harmful effects on any living things that drinks, use, or live it. Water pollution is usually caused by human activities. Different human sources add to the pollution of water. There are two sorts of sources, point and non-point sources. The first one, point sources, discharge pollutants at specific locations through pipelines or sewers into the surface water. And the non-point sources are sources that cannot be traced to a single site of discharge. Examples of the point sources are factories, sewages, treatment plants, and oil wells. And examples for the non-point source are things like acid deposition from the air, traffic, and pollutants that are spread through rivers and pollutants that enter the water through groundwater. And so next I will talk about many different types of pollution. I will mainly talk about the most important six. The first one is nutrient pollution. Some wastewater, fertilizers, and sewage contain high levels of nutrients. If they end up in water bodies, they encourage algae and weed growth in the water. This will make the water undrinkable. The second one is surface water pollution. Surface water pollution includes natural water found on the Earth's surface, like rivers, lakes, and oceans. The hazardous substances coming from contact with this surface water, dissolving and mixing physically with the water, so that makes the water poisonous. And the third one is oxygen depleting. Water bodies have microorganisms. This includes aerobic and anaerobic organisms. When too much easily decayed things end up in water, it encourages more microorganism growth and the use of more oxygen in the water. If the oxygen is depleted, aerobic organisms die, and anaerobic organisms grow more to produce harmful toxins. The first one is groundwater pollution. When humans apply pesticides and chemicals to soils, they are washed deeply into the ground by rainwater, and then gets to the underground water, which causes pollution underground. And the last one is chemical water pollution. Many industries and farmers work with chemicals that end up in water. These include chemicals that are used to control weeds, insects, and pests. Metals and solvents from the industries can pollute water bodies. These are poisonous to many forms of aquatic life and may kill them. So now I will talk about the causes of pollution. First one is industrial waste. The industries cause huge water pollution with their activities. These are mainly from the metallic elements that can cause environmental and health problems for humans and animals. It's even more poisonous. It's usually very hard to clean it up from the environment once it gets into it, because it is non-biodegradable. And then the oils. The oils forms a thick layer on the water surface because they do not dissolve in water. This can stop marine plants receiving enough light for photosynthesis. It's also harmful for fish and marine birds. And there's an example that the BP oil spill in 2012, which killed thousands of animal species. And then I will talk about underground storage. Many liquid products are stored in metal and steel tubes underground. Other sewage systems run into underground tubes. Over time, they rust and begin to leak. If that happens, they contaminate the soils, and the liquids in them end up in many nearby water bodies. So last, I will talk about the effects of water pollution. First one is about the death of water animals. The main problem caused by water pollution is that it kills life that depends on these water bodies, that fish, crabs, birds, dolphins, and many other animals also remain on beaches, killed by pollutants in their habitats. And the second one is the food chains. Pollution disrupts the natural food chain as well. Pollutants such as lead is eaten by tiny animals, and later these animals are consumed by fish and shellfish. And the food chain continues to be disrupted at all higher levels. And then the diseases of human beings. Eventually, if humans are affected by this process as well, people can get diseases such as hepatitis by eating seafood that has been poisoned. In many poor nations, the disease always as a result of poor drinking water treatment from contaminated waters. Last one is the destruction of ecosystems. Ecosystems can be severely changed or destroyed by water pollution. Many areas are now being affected by careless human pollution, and this pollution is coming back to hurt humans in many ways. So this picture is about a summary of water pollution. It said at the top that about 97% of Earth's water is either salty or polluted. So we should really care about this problem. This picture concludes that the water cycle and the effects of water pollution, just like what I just said. So, next.
I'm going to talk about water pollution in the United States and in other countries. As mentioned before, there's two sources, and in the United States, non-point source is the main source of pollution in the U.S., according to the EPA. As mentioned before, NPS pollution occurs when water runs over land or through the ground and picks up pollutants and deposits them in surface waters or introduces them into groundwater. NPS pollution also includes adverse changes to vegetation, shape, and flow of streams and other aquatic systems. Okay, this is a picture that shows the impaired waters in the United States. The lighter areas show that areas with less impaired rivers and water bodies, and the darker areas show more pollution. So as you can see, like Mississippi and New Jersey have heavily polluted water bodies, and places like Alaska, like in the Midwest, they don't have too many impaired water bodies. According to the latest National Water Quality Inventory, it indicates that agriculture is the leading contributor to water quality impairments in the United States. The most common NPS pollutants are sediments and nutrients. Other common NPS pollutants include pesticides, pathogens like bacteria and viruses, salts, oil, grease, toxic chemicals, and heavy metals. And then this is just a chart that shows that agriculture is the number one in rivers and lakes. This is exactly what I just talked about on the last slide. It just shows you other pollutants that can, or other factors that cause impaired rivers in the United States, and it shows that agriculture is the number one cause. Agriculture is also the number one for many other reasons. For example, it has the largest carbon footprint, and due to all the machinery, fuel, and oil. The second is because of all the pesticides and fertilizer that's used in agriculture. Third, electricity for lighting and cooling and heating. And lastly, emissions of carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and other greenhouse gases are all from agriculture. Okay, other contributors to water pollutants in the United States are factories, refineries, waste treatment facilities, mining, pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers, human sewage, oil spills, failing septic systems, soap from washing your car, oil and antifreeze leaks from cars, household chemicals, and animal waste. Okay, this just shows exactly what was on the last slide. It just gives you a picture and shows you how all these contribute to the polluting the water supply in groundwater. Okay, next is facts about pollution in other countries. 2.5 million people live without basic sanitation in other countries. 90% of the water, 90% of the wastewater produced in undeveloped countries is discharged and untreated into local water, so it's like what everybody drinks pretty much. 80% of diseases and sicknesses worldwide can be related to contaminated water. A lot of this is in undeveloped countries, so more than 1/3 of Africa's population lacks access to safe drinking water, and this is mainly due because there's not a lot of money in the government, and they can't change to make pollution less of a problem, so they just can't fund it properly. Okay, water pollution in the prevention in the United States. Water pollution prevention is no easy task because there are many ecological differences that exist in the environment today. This means that it is ecologically undesirable to have uniform ambient standards for all bodies of water because it would change a number of ecosystems. In addition, a level of pollution that is dangerous for humans may be safe enough for recreational use. States must identify designated uses for surface water bodies such as recreation, aquatic habitat, or water supply. The Clean Water Act in 1972 established a national pollution discharge elimination system. The new National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System was created, which requires every point source to have a permit that sets specific limits on its pollution. Each state must establish water quality standards, and the EPA must approve the state settings of the standards, and if the EPA doesn't approve, then they will create their own for the states that they see fit. Just continuing off of this, the Clean Water Act, ever since the Clean Water Act was developed, it has led to significant improvements in surface water quality over the years. In 1999, a new focus was placed on watershed level monitoring and protection instead of just on the standards itself. So watershed pollutant land monitoring networks are designed to measure and compare regional differences and long-term trends in sediment and nutrients among major rivers. Its primary goals are first to measure and compare differences in water quality, and second, to determine long-term trends in water quality. Okay, this just shows, it's a graph that shows the picture shows the percent of drinking water systems with violations of EPA and health standards in 1996. And then in 1999, the EPA reported that 91% of all monitored river miles and 87.5% of all assessed lake acres are suitable for their designated uses. So ever since 1996, the states have progressed and have been battling pollution better. Okay, how can we prevent water pollution? The most obvious way to prevent water pollution is just to watch what we put in water. We have to not throw our trash and other harmful chemicals into the water supplies. So ways that we can do this at home: you can wash your car far away from any storm water drains, because in soap that could be a chemical that we don't want in our water. Don't throw trash chemicals or solvents into sewage drains. Inspect your septic systems every 3 to 5 years. Avoid using pesticides and fertilizers that can run off into the water systems. Sweep your driveway instead of hosing it down. Always pump your waste holding tanks on your boat. Use non-toxic cleaning materials. Clean up oil and other liquid spills with kitty litter and sweep them up. And then don't wash paintbrushes in the sink. These are just a few ways that we can prevent water pollution. That's pretty much it.